Should be kicking live right now. All right. So, welcome to your first guest appearance of Cyber Sports. Today, we're going to be hitting up the NCAA, football, college, and everything else. So, I'm going to give the first shout out. Welcome to my big bro, Major League Griffey, former Deacon, Wake Forest, cornerback. So, I mean, we're going to hit him up. We're going to ask him some questions. He's going to be with us through this whole little pod and everything. So, I mean, if y'all got some questions to ask, definitely comment, hit us up, ask what you want. We'll sit there and reference that one and go back to it and answer all these questions. It's going to be an interesting podcast. I mean, we got the Big Ten starting off this week, which I've been definitely waiting for. I mean, we got that Buckeye hat on and everything. So, I've been waiting on this one. You got Sam repping his FSU. And definitely got Beige just in here wearing that, ripping that Wake Forest. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting little week. So we'll go ahead and hit it off. What have you liked about this season so far? I'm talking to you, Major.
Are you talking to me?
Oh yeah.
Roll Tide. Bama's doing what they're supposed to do. I'll tell you the biggest disappointment was I thought he was back. And Clemson showed me that not yet. So they're not ready to compete with the big boys yet. But they're probably still about 2 years away. But I think they got the right coach now. I'm just glad football is back, period. I thought with all the staggered different Power 5 conferences starting at different times, I was thinking, how are you going to do a playoffs? Because if the SEC finishes 5 weeks before the Big Ten, do they just go into the off season and pick it back up 5 weeks later for the playoffs? How's that going to work? So that's my biggest question. But I'm just glad to see them boys back out there playing ball.
I can agree with that one.
Definitely. So, Major, introduce yourself. Tell everybody where you went to college, the position you played, the years, all that good stuff.
I'm a 90s baby, 1992, 97, Wake Forest Demon Deacons, defensive back corner. So turned some kicks here and there. But yeah, so good times.
How fast were you?
4.3, baby.
4.3. That's what they be ranking at them combines and everything.
I ain't 4.3 no more. I mean, I like 4.3 and tear a hamstring, but that's for the first 2 steps.
Anything major memory-wise that you can think of in your time with Wake Forest that really sticks out to you?
Man, that freshman year going to, wasn't the Orange Bowl or the Rose Bowl, but for us, hey, bowl game was a bowl game, and I've loved where the program has gone now, but to go that first year and go to the Independence Bowl and just experience it as a freshman, and that was great. I mean, because no matter what bowl it is, they treat you like kings between the activities and the food and the giveaways and all the paraphernalia. So that was an awesome experience right out of the box.
Now, as you know, I'm obviously the Florida State fan, so I got to ask you, mate, what was it like to go into Doak Campbell Stadium on a Saturday and go up? Because, man, as FSU fans, we remember when FSU would put 50 points on you before halftime. And
well, let's just put it this way. At one of them games in my years, we saw a 70 go up. But anyway, we won't talk about that. Going into Doak Campbell was pretty dope back then, because you got to realize, if my memory is clear here, I think it took about 10 years before FSU lost their first conference game. Yeah. I think their first 10 years in the ACC, they went undefeated every year. So it was like FSU and then everybody else. So that was the FSU back then that I remember. But coming into Doak Campbell, they can't do it anymore. But when we used to get off the bus, the fans would line up 2 sides and sit there and do this chop at you as you walked into the stadium, And I think at some point somebody touched the student athlete and they were like, yeah, no more of that. But before that, it was what they did. It was intimidating. It was like, hey, we here. What y'all got? We here to whip y'all butt. Or, y'all here, but we gonna kick y'all butt. So, but no, that was awesome. I mean, that, and then to see the guy come out on the horse and throw the spear in the ground and the crowd go, woo, like that. So I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is an awesome sight. You played against some greats, Charlie Ward, Warwick Dunn,
Yep.
uh, Peter Warwick. Even
Yeah.
you went up. You had a interesting. You were telling me before the show started about a William Floyd. Is that a good story?
Bar none. Look, they threw a screen pass out there one time, and I think the linebacker got chopped. And so, the first person they look up is the linebacker, right? So ain't nobody there. So they go to the next level. So that means the receiver's already at my legs. And now here comes bar none, full speed. And I'm like, all right, I just got to blow this up and spill it. Yeah. So I ran into him. Yeah, I wasn't the smartest thing, but I spilled it. I felt it too. He's a big boy.
And as you're since you're from the ACC, you've went up against Florida State and all. Where do you see Florida State headed now? I mean, we've seen them the last 3 or 4 years. It's been a downward spiral. Do you think they're on track now with their new coach, or have you been keeping up with it?
Yeah, I have been, and so two teams that really surprised me because they were the two teams when the league expanded, everybody thought was going to be on the top every year was Miami and Florida State. And then Virginia Tech followed because they were like, oh, if Miami's leaving the Big East, you ain't leaving us. Because we took Boston, we were taking Boston College, Syracuse, and Pitt, even though Pitt's in there now, but Virginia Tech pushed Pitt out and filed some kind of suit and they got in. But anyway, I mean, but when the league expanded, everybody thought when they put Florida State on one side, Miami on the other, that they would be the top two teams everybody would be fighting against. But what they actually did was they grew the talent of the entire league and they made all the other teams better for coming to the ACC. And in doing that, it made them a middle tier team instead of top tier. So, but I think they'll both get back. This is going to be a little time.
I agree. I agree. So we'll jump into a little bit of news real quick. I don't know what's going on in Gainesville, Florida, but 25 more COVID cases. So Florida, Missouri, they are canceled this weekend. That game's been rescheduled, I think, to Halloween weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it as far as news. Nothing big, major going on right now, other than I think Auburn's about ready to fire their coach.
Yeah, Gus is out.
But
Hey, he should be. They got the game coming up this weekend against Ole Miss. So I mean, and Ole Miss ain't necessarily been doing too bad. I mean, Auburn lost what to South Carolina, Gamecocks,
Mm-hmm.
and
then
Arkansas.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, they got a reprieve against Missouri when the guy dropped back and threw that pass, which should have been a backwards pass and a fumble. Remember that when they was down on it and he threw it back? I was just like, ooh, they got away with one. So that was another potential L. So yeah, I think Gus. The only way Gus saves his job this year is he beats Alabama again.
Yeah, and I think that's how he saved his job every year. I think Gus will pull that rabbit out of the hat, beat Alabama, and they give him an extension. But the way I see it right now is Auburn's kind of stuck because with COVID, everyone's losing money, and I think Gus buyouts upwards in the 20 million. So that's
I wish I was worth 20 million. I wish I was worth 1 million.
No joke. If you're going to buy Malzahn out for 20 million, then you got to think you got to pay the next man up his buyout from wherever he's at if you're going for a top tier coach. So I don't know. I think Auburn's stuck with Gus for a little while. I think whether they like it or not, I think they got him for a few years.
I mean, to answer PJ, I would say this much: Tennessee, they got rid of their defensive coordinator, so Gus might not be lasting too long. They might treat him like Bill O'Brien from the Texans and just cut him like halfway through the season and just let whoever is back behind him, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, take over for him. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot of coaches getting cut this year.
yeah. I think Jeremy Pruitt said he's taken over the defensive line, which is what that guy coached, and he said, "I'm coaching the defensive line the rest of the year."
Yeah, he cut that guy right in mid-game. He fired him mid-game, which, I mean, you're getting blown out by Kentucky. I mean,
yeah,
that's a game Tennessee should win because I had high hopes for Tennessee this year. They've been really, really getting some good talent since Pruitt's arrival. So I thought they'd be a lot better defensively anyways than what they've shown to be.
What's funny is all these defensive coordinators that have left Saban's pool. one, they're all 0 and what now 23 against him. But the funny thing is the defensive coordinators for some reason can't stop him. But when they were at Bama, they were great. I mean,
that talent pool
this
makes a
is
big
so
difference.
average now.
That's true, but they were saying Ole Miss, even though Lane Kiffin come from the offensive side of the ball, they were saying
Yeah.
Ole Miss a few weeks ago had Bama signals. So that's kind of interesting if Lane really did have that, and that's how he put almost 50 points on them.
Well, Alabama had no answer for Lane, none. I was like, God dang! I was like, if it wasn't for Bama's offense being so great and outscoring them, they would have lost. I was like, ooh, y'all defense stank. I don't know who your defensive coordinator is, but with all those athletes you got, he is not good.
Especially when they have Minka Fitzpatrick come out there and everything. Like, they've been known just to give up defensive players. I mean, granted, Alabama is just one of those teams that they're just so stacked deep on talent. They get 1 year to sit there and shine, maybe like their junior year, but most of them are sitting there waiting until their senior year to even get a chance to even play. That's just how deep they are. I mean, it's not even
some
fair.
of them transfer too. They'll
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey, I ain't gonna get to play. I'm out of here.
Yep.
Do you ever wish that was around when you were back in your Wake Forest days, the transfer portal?
Honestly, no, because here's my thing. If you transfer and you go to another school, is your expectation that if I come to you that I get the starting job automatically? I mean, are you just going to give it to me, or do I have to come there and work for it? But what if I go there and work for it and don't get it? What do I do now?
You're stuck.
You're stuck. So I feel like if you sign with somebody, unless like there was some type of policy violation committed against you or discrimination, I think you just have to live through your commitment and fight to get the job. I'm sorry.
I fully agree with that. Talk about recruiting. What was your process like? 'Cause recruiting's changed so much now. It's a big deal. I mean, there are literally websites making millions off of the fan bases following recruiting. Was that a big deal when you were coming up, or?
Well, I got you, bro. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll put it like this. There's a 10-year difference between me and my brother. All right. I still remember watching him play football, speedy as can be for no reason, no set position. He's that old school NCAA football that you play on Madden and everything else that they don't even classify as a game. Yeah, we don't even. There's not even a classification for him besides athlete. He's not a cornerback, and wide receiver. He just does it all. So his recruitment process was more to the point, very, very personal. I remember taking a trip initially down to Wake Forest and sitting in the back of the truck ride with mom and dad and driving down there and seeing the campus. I mean, I was in awe initially, like point blank. I mean, they had their own movie theater, they had their own little restaurants. I mean, the whole campus was big, but I remember them sitting there, coming up there, talking to them, and then saying, hey, come down for the whole visit. I mean, it was literally amazing. It wasn't no Facebook here. Let me text you. Do you really want to come down here? Like, I think we might be interested in you, but we're not going to come up there to come see you. We ain't got enough time for that. Like, no, it was, hey, we want you. Come on.
Yeah. And the coaches would come to not football games. They would come to basketball games, track meets, stuff like that. I mean, I remember the first time I met Coach Maskell at Wake. He was the wide receiver coach who recruited me. He came to a basketball game. And he's sitting in the crowd at the basketball game. And so then he came down and talked to me after me and the folks after the basketball game. And that's how the Lindy's magazine listed me as just an athlete. They didn't put me as a position. They were just like, hey, he can play either side of the ball. So.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about the transfer portal too, because we see a lot of committing, a lot of decommitting. These kids, I think today's kids, this generation doesn't understand the word of commitment, what it means to be a part of something bigger than them.
Right.
And it used to be you went to a school to help them rebuild, help them win national championships, make that program great. And now it's, I'm going to go to Alabama. I'm going to go to Clemson because I want the ring.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things in my process. I mean, I actually signed a letter of intent to go to UVA initially. And
thank God you didn't.
Were my top two schools. And so a good friend of ours, I mean, I'm sure you know the name, Thomas Jones. I mean, it's funny, I actually got to play against Thomas Jones when he was at UVA. And I think everybody thought, oh, they're both going to head down to UVA. So that was kind of like the little story. And so when I signed with Wake, a quick story is the first game we played against UVA, Aaron Brooks was the quarterback. And when they announced me starting at corner, they booed me. And I was like, because they remember I decommitted from that letter of commit. Letter of intent and signed with Wake. And so they booed me. And so when Aaron Brooks kept throwing this they were running like a high-low route and the receiver was running a curl and I jumped in front of the curl and that was like my first pick. I grabbed it, ran over to the sidelines and threw the ball and I got a penalty and coach was like, dummy, what are you doing? I was like, man, they was booing me. I had to do something. I had to do something, coach.
That's it. Yeah. Are you fellas ready to jump into picking some games and giving your thoughts?
True. Before that one, let's hear PJ. I mean, he's sitting here being live and commenting. How about North Carolina? What's the exact question, PJ? Like, how did he play against North Carolina, or how do you think North Carolina is actually going to be doing this year?
All I know is North Carolina got whooped by the Dogs last weekend. That's all I know.
He happy. I will say this.
We beat a top 5 team. I don't care. North Carolina bump them.
Mac Brown. I know some people will say, well, it's because some of these other teams haven't started yet, blah, blah, blah. Carolina got up there, but I'm not even going to front. Mac Brown has done a great job in a little bit of time with that team. That team looks totally different 2 years later from the coach they had. I'm like, Mac Brown is doing his thing again. When he did it, when they had Dre Bly and that crew.
Dre Bly, one of my favorite DBs. Him and Champ Bailey. I mean, those two are all-stars hands down.
Man, Dre Bly was a beast, and that Carolina team was a beast. I mean, matter of fact, I think they were like number 2 or 3 in the country up there at that particular year. And I think, they were fighting with Florida State for the conference title that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think Carolina didn't beat them. I think the team that beat beat Florida State that year was UVA. Because I think they stopped.
Oh, wait. I know which one you're talking about. That was when Thomas was there, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
We talked about when they stopped Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn on the one end.
He crossed the goal. That ball. That was forced crap call. He broke the plane. Yeah. I'm gonna argue that to this day. We needed instant replay back then.
Oh, don't get him started on that.
I'm impressed with Carolina.
I will say this much. I'm gonna stick with my whole rankings from last week when I was talking about Carolina being ranked number 5. Do I think they deserve a number 5 rating right now? Like, no, they didn't. I'm honestly not gonna say that they do. I mean, if all the other teams did not actually decide they were gonna play, maybe. But I mean, Florida State, no offense, Sam, Jacksonville State, and then going knocking off UNC. UNC don't.
I mean, but that was a different Florida State team than I've seen all year. That the Florida State that showed up against UNC, I haven't seen in 3 years. I don't know where that team came from, but that ain't the Florida State I've been watching. I mean,
they played good.
So I'm gonna hit you with one more since Sam's gonna get mad at me. I remember reading one comment of you actually being in the paper. It's still on Google right now. It had to do with a comment with you and Duke.
I simply said everybody was talking, and no knock against Duke, because that particular year Duke was having an amazing year. And one of the reporters asked me, I forget the name of the daggone running back, but he was killing it that year. Big boy. They said, what are you going to do if so-and-so breaks up the middle and it's just you and him? I'm like, I'm going to tackle him like I tackle everybody else in an opposite color uniform. I said, listen, Duke's having an amazing year, but they ain't no FSU. That was my comment.
That's what's up.
So my last question for you, out of all 4 years, what would you say your best game was, though?
Best game, man. Honestly, I'd say my best game is funny, but probably because I was on the field for like 200 plays. Most of my tackles and interceptions and pass breakups was when we played FSU. And I had a great time out there. I mean, because even there was times where I remember players was like, oh, we're playing FSU, or they like talk negative in the locker room. And I got pissed one time and I was like, man, get the hell out of here if you don't think we can win. Honestly, it's just like, if you don't suit up on a Saturday against whoever the hell it is, even if you're a 50-point underdog, you don't think you're gonna go win, man, why are we even here?
True.
That's
True.
true.
Here. I ain't suiting up if you don't think we can win.
I think that's one of the bigger things around like nowadays as far as college goes. They don't. It's like, hey, we're here. We suited up. Are we going to win? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, not a whole bunch of them have that mentality. I mean, there's certain players that still have that old school mentality. Like, I came to play. That y'all playing with me or not? Get off the field. Give me somebody that's going to play with me. But
you win your individual battles. Everybody else wins their individual battles, and see where the chips fall. You know, and sometimes you're just outmanned and outgunned, and that's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
speak about outman outgun. I'll let you go ahead and hit us, Sam, that first game.
That very first game, Ohio State Buckeyes. I know Griff's ready to talk about this one.
You know, I give you a little bit more with it too. I went all out on this one. I even got on the hands. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I'll say this: Ohio State's gonna be way too much for Nebraska. What is it?
Yes.
This coach is going into his second year, third year from UCF.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's gonna be on
the
his second one.
program built. I don't think he's got the program built where they can play against Ohio State right now. So Ohio State probably gonna drop a 50 burger on them.
He's trying to still play UCS offense, and he's got Georgia Tech option team. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's they don't have that team built to play the kind of offense he played at UCF. It's just not. I mean, they're still more run it down, you throat kind of team. So he needs a couple more recruiting classes to get that kind of team. I mean, think about Georgia Tech. They used to be an all option, and now look at how they play. They play spread. Like Georgia Tech's playing spread now. When did that?
I'm almost upset at that one though. I love Georgia Tech's offense though. I mean, it was just crazy how they ran it. I mean, and you knew it was coming, but it was still hard to stop it.
It was the Navy offense.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple for all those years, and then all of a sudden his new coach comes in, and he's got this running quarterback who spreads, and I'm like, when did they start throwing the ball like that? But I'm sure once they get the athletes, they'll be good too.
So you're talking about Nebraska Cornhuskers back when they were running triple option status.
Pretty much.
Was
I mean,
that
kind of
Frazier
players they had.
Yeah, well, Frazier, they had I can't remember, but I know they had some great.
They had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
The Heisman Trophy guy, what's his name? He would make in the NFL. I think he played wide receiver.
Number 7, right? His number was. I think that was Frazier.
Yeah, Frazier was the black quarterback. This was the white guy quarterback years later. He won the Heisman.
I can't remember.
Man.
I'm blanking on his name. You're gonna make me have to look this up.
So many failures, but yeah, I think I'm gonna take. I gotta go with my Buckeyes. They're coming in with the rank number 5 right off the back. So hopefully they sit there and show them that that's at least where they're supposed to be at bare minimum. And I see Nebraska getting spanked. They ain't done nothing since they hit the Big Ten. So.
Well, they'll both come out probably kind of rusty. You know what I mean?
Eric Crouch.
Yeah.
He was quarterback, and he won the Heisman in 2001.
Didn't Cleveland draft him?
Somebody, but I think he played a different position in the NFL. I think he went to like wide receiver or something.
Was that Couch? Couch,
yeah.
By Cleveland. He come out of Kentucky, I think.
Yeah, Eric Crouch.
I can't remember.
I know PJ ranked 5 and ain't played the game, but you can't really hate on the talent. I mean, UNC was ranked number 5. Oklahoma, that's lost 3 games, was ranked number 3 at one point. So ranked number 5, and that was one of the power schools last year. I mean, I can get that one, but like I said, I don't never ever agree with how they do the ranking in the first place. But I don't see Ohio State being anything less than a top 10 team, even off the jump, not even playing the game. So, but they'll prove it.
The college rankings are so flawed right now.
Yes,
they're horrible, and because our next game, Kansas State versus Kansas. K-State proved how bad the rankings were when they beat Oklahoma a few weeks ago.
K-State's ranked number 20 right now.
Yeah. And as much as I hate to say it, I think K-State beats Kansas this weekend. I just
Well,
hate to say that. I want to make fun of my friend Chris.
hey, the only downside for Kansas is K-State has won 10 of the last 10. Well, the last 10 matchups against them, K-State has won, and they hold the overall record. So yeah.
And didn't Kansas just fire Les Miles because was too mean?
Wait a minute, they just hired him 2 years. They fired him already?
I think they fired him because he was mean to the players. I'm not kidding. I'll have to look
He
that
got to
up.
realize that that's not LSU anymore.
I mean, what do you expect your coach to do? Coddle you, tell you that you're doing good when you're sitting here fumbling the ball or throwing interceptions, and you're sitting here doing like raggedy non-arm tackles? I mean, what do you expect them to do? You expect
Yeah,
it?
and again, I don't know how true that is, but I think I read that they fired him because he's mean. I don't know. I mean, it's two very unimportant teams that are nothings. So I just
Yeah,
knew
but
that game.
football ain't a soft sport in the first
No,
place, though.
he has COVID, so he's just not traveling to the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has
Chalk it up to
COVID.
COVID too if I was gonna fire him.
The thing is, I'm so mad at that kid Puka Williams Jr. because you remember him when he came out of high school. He was like one of the best running backs on the planet. Speed, athletic ability, everything. And he signed with Kansas. And I was like, why did he sign with Kansas? He could have went anywhere. And it's a wasted career for him there. I mean, he's been a highlight reel by himself, but it's such a wasted career. He could have went anywhere and been in Heisman Trophy talks right now. But
Sam, you want to take this one? PJ, doesn't really matter this early, and in this situation, I'm sure they're going to show it. I'm still trying to figure out why they thought Gus should start out as high as he did.
Again, that's just the rankings are flawed. I think the press they just throw the team names out there. They already know their top five. Your Alabama, your Clemson, your LSU, your Ohio States, Notre Dame's, and I think they just throw teams out there after that. It's like you can throw a dart at your dartboard and stick a team and just throw them in after that because preseason rankings are just trash.
Yeah, yeah. So moving on from Kansas.
Yeah, we got Alabama versus Tennessee, which used to be a pretty good rivalry, but now it's just all Bama, which you can't bet against Bama. And so I think Alabama's going to walk the dog on the Vols this weekend. Actually, I think they're going to beat them by about 20 or 30 points.
Yeah, 30 plus.
I'm going to call that one with it because Tennessee, they ain't won anything against Alabama since 2006. That's 14 years.
It's been a while. It's been a long time.
I think Mac Jones is going to come out and throw for about 350 and 4 touchdowns. And then the running backs, Najee and his backup, they both going to have 100 each.
Najee ain't bad, though. I will not hate on him. He's set on the back burner for a year at least, but he is not bad, though. I mean,
I saw a meme the other day where it was a face mask, and it was a Tennessee face mask. And it said, the word on the street is, if you wear this, you won't catch anything.
We talking about the Tennessee Volunteers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, dang, that's pretty harsh.
That's pretty good right there. Yeah, Tennessee's just, man, they've fallen off so hard since they won that national championship. What was it, 2001?
It was right after Peyton Manning left. They won it with T. Martin.
98.
And they beat, guess who they beat? Florida State.
Well, we didn't have our quarterback. Chris Winkie was hurt. If we'd have had Winkie, we'd have lit that Tennessee team up.
Yeah.
Chris Winkie.
I think we had a true freshman. A true freshman was starting that game because Winkie got hurt.
Was that Thad Busby?
No. Thad played 96, 97. And then
who was Chris Winkie's backup?
Oh, I don't know. The kid never
his granddad, because he was old already.
Yeah, he was, because he wouldn't play baseball and then came back to college.
Yeah, he pulled a Russell Wilson pulled a Chris Winkie, I guess you could say, because Winkie did it first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I don't remember that kid's name though, but I just know I never saw him again after that.
Okay.
But moving on to the next game, speaking of FSU versus Louisville.
Oh,
This
Louisville's pitiful. They're 0-4.
this this
Florida
Louisville
State's gonna get on a roll. They're gonna go back to back here.
oh yeah, this Louisville team lost to a Willie Taggart coach team last year at FSU. They ain't beating this team, in my opinion. I think
Nah, FSU's got a little confidence now too. So
yeah, after beating North Carolina, I think they got a little bit of swagger back in them. So
yeah.
I think it's going to be close though, but I think Florida State wins.
Just to be the hater, I'm going for Louisville. Just to be the hater. Only because I'm still stuck on Jacksonville State, and I'm gonna count on them getting that big head and be like, "Well, we won. We be a number 5 team," and then all of a sudden you go out there, fumble, interception, defense ain't tackling. I'm counting on karma biting them.
No, Florida State they got true talent. They really
This ain't happening.
they've been poorly coached the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that they've got good coaching again, these kids are starting to come around.
Yeah.
That's just my non-biased opinion.
I'm still gonna be the hater, Louisville.
Well, since you
Go
want to
FSU.
since you want to be a hater, I got something you can really hate on: Michigan versus Minnesota.
Oh,
Is Harbaugh finally is he going to get Michigan in the right direction, or is he going to continue in the direction he's been going?
I will say this much: Harbaugh has not been for Michigan since the start. The last time Michigan to me was relevant was when Charles Woodson was still there. I mean, they had about 2 good years after that one, but Michigan since Harbaugh, no, dudes put receivers at quarterback, quarterbacks at receivers. I mean, his biggest strength has pretty much been his defensive line. I think he had a good backfield 2 or 3 years ago, but his quarterback play has been completely horrible. No. Michigan, no. Do I think they're going to beat Minnesota? Yeah. Is it going to be a struggle?
don't sleep on the Gophers because they had one of the hottest coaches last year. I mean, until they lost late, they were in talks for the BCS.
That's true.
So I wouldn't sleep on that coach and his team coming out saying like, look, we ain't got nothing to lose. Harbaugh got everything to lose. He got all the pressure in every game because people about done with him.
So you disagree with the ranking?
How much longer do you guys give to Harbaugh?
If he doesn't beat Ohio State this year, which I think this year is going to be worse than any year ever, I think Ohio State's going to beat him by 40. I think people are going to start calling for his head, but but it's like, who do you put in there? Who's the next real Michigan man? Because, they only want to hire Michigan men. So who's next?
They're going to go pick up Kirk Cousins and bring him back. No,
they're going to probably have to go snatch up somebody, Dabo Sweeney's offensive coordinator or something to make it happen. But I don't.
Alabama used to do that. It used to be always the Alabama guys or somebody from the Bryant tree like Gene Stallings.
Yeah.
And then when they finally got away from the Shulas and the Mike Duboses and went for Saban, look at them now. So, yeah, I think Michigan's going to have to go with that outside guy.
Yeah. See, but the only thing with Michigan, they had the non-Michigan guy until they went to Brady Hoke. Then that didn't work. And then they were like, nah, we don't need that Michigan guy. We need Harbaugh. And then when Harbaugh came in there, they're like, oh, the savior's here. And I'm like, Michigan ain't beat Ohio State since Tressel.
True. And PJ, just so you know, Charles Woodson, best to come out of Michigan, hands down, one of the few defensive players to ever win the Heisman. So
Charles Woodson was a bad man.
I think he's the only.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the only defensive
player
in Heisman.
Oh, yes.
It was the year everybody thought Peyton Manning was going to win it.
Yeah.
And Charles Woodson won it.
Yep.
Took Peyton Manning's Heisman trophy.
Whoa.
Deserved it, though. He deserved it.
All right. I got to pause for you. Here we go. Big Griff. PJ posted the question: do you think Tiki Barber was 10 times the running back that Warrick Dunn was?
Okay, so 2 different style running backs, 2 different style offenses. Florida State ran a wide open spread offense, multiple receivers. They got Warwick Dunn out in space, screens. They just gave that guy a lot of one-on-one opportunities against linebackers and stuff. Tiki ran more of a traditional pro style offense. He wasn't as fast, but he was a lot more shifty, I think, from the standpoint of following his blockers, knowing where to go. I mean, Warwick would just go. He was just a blitz. He was just, but they, Tiki definitely not as fast, but I think a smarter runner. I think Tiki was an overachiever. Let's put it that way. For his skill set, I think he did a lot more with what he had than Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn's got a natty ring and a Super Bowl ring. I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
Tiki's got a Super Bowl
I'm
ring.
just saying they're just different style.
No, I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
Because they ran a lot of screens with
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think Warwick Dunn was the better athlete, but I think for what Tiki had athletically, I think he did more with what he had, is what I'm saying. So
yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you.
True. So back to this one then, PJ. I'm still tracking you. Don't worry. Michigan or Minnesota, Sam?
I gotta go Minnesota. I just think Michigan is overhyped every year, and Minnesota's gonna beat them. I don't know why. I just think Minnesota.
Major? Minnesota?
I'm feeling the Gophers, man. I have no trust in Harbaugh. I'm going with the Gophers.
All right, I will say this one then, since how y'all saying Minnesota. Michigan is ranked number 18. Minnesota is ranked number 21 right now.
The Gophers are going to take over the number 18 spot.
I figure whoever wins this game, or actually whoever loses, is going to be knocked out of that top 25 unless some other drastic changes happen. But yeah.
You lose, you're out.
All right, so let's go to the once Heisman candidate that has pretty much rolled over in the bed and played dead, Oklahoma, with Spencer Rattler, and versus TCU.
Oklahoma is blown two big leads now, one to Kansas State, went to 4 overtimes with Texas, and I think they were beating Texas like 35-17 at one point. But I think talent wins out in this one, so I'm going to go Oklahoma.
I want to take Oklahoma, but the way that they've been going, I think I'm going to have to go TCU.
I'm going Oklahoma in this one.
Oklahoma.
My little buddies came to visit.
I remember that little dude.
Oklahoma, I think they just got too much. I watched TCU play Kansas State a few weeks ago or last week or something like that, and they just look terrible. So I think Oklahoma's going to dominate the game.
Yep.
But another good game, Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. Leach the mullet. Two good coaches. Oklahoma State ranked 3rd in the nation. I'm going to go Okie State on this one. I think I just like his name, not Leach, whatever old mullet's name is.
Oh yeah. What is his name? I'm blanking on it too.
Yeah, I spaced on it. I don't know why I said Leach.
Yeah, Leach is at in the SEC now. What is he? Mississippi State. Yeah.
Isn't it Gundy or something? Mike Gundy.
Yeah, Mike Gundy. Yeah.
Mike Gundy, the mullet.
Yeah.
Well, that's who I'm rolling with, the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Cowboys on that one as well. I think, matter of fact, though, Iowa State guy was a leading candidate to take the FSU job at one point.
Yep. Was that PJ Fleck?
Yep. No. PJ Fleck's at Minnesota.
That's right.
Yeah. I forget the Iowa State coach's name, but he was one of the big names.
He is. Yeah, he's a good coach, but I think he's got no plan. I think he's a NFL guy. Like that's where his sights are set on, is going to the NFL or a bigger Big Ten school.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna have to take Iowa State. I mean, don't ask me why completely, but here lately, at least during the years, I mean, Iowa State always decides to show up and just knock off whoever, whether it's Texas, Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State, whenever it happens. I mean, I think they go in there and they get underrated. And then all of a sudden they come in and they're just knocking heads off for no reason. And then they'll turn around and bomb the next game. But when it comes time to play a team that's ranked that they shouldn't even come close to beating, hey, they've been pulling some Rudies and just taking it to the crib.
Pulling some Rudies.
He wasn't supposed to play. He still got in there though and got a little bit of sunlight on him, you know. So I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Iowa State, them Cyclones, just to mess up some people, just because. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, every year.
Yeah, they do have a decent team. They're well coached.
They are.
They are well coached. But speaking of going to the SEC now, South Carolina versus LSU. LSU is just the one-hit wonders. Ed, I don't know what Ed Orgeron's got going on up there, but I hate to say it, but I'm going South Carolina and Muschamp. LSU just looks like dog crap.
That's true.
Offense is trash under the current quarterback. Matter of fact, I think he's not playing this week because of some lower body injury, they said. So it might even be uglier than what it's been. So their starting quarterback's not even traveling. So yeah, Carolina's on the rise, LSU's going down. So yeah, I'm going with the Gamecocks.
I think I'm gonna have to roll with that one too. South Carolina came up and done their thing. I mean, they might be on their building blocks again, coming from Alshon Jeffrey and Davian Clowney and everything. So I mean, as long as they get the offense together, I mean, I see them pulling another upset. Plus, like you said, LSU, there's no way you can win a national championship and then you turn around and barely win 2 games.
Well, we got a question for Major. Did you ever meet Tim Duncan while you were at Wake?
Yes, Tim Duncan and I went the exact same years and graduated together.
True story.
Good friend of mine.
No joke.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, because I like the Spurs are my favorite basketball team in NBA. That's who I pull for is the Spurs.
They're my squad too. You know, he's coaching there now, so
really
probably get the head job after Pop retires.
Yeah.
I'll spit you some facts, Chris, on Tim Duncan. When he graduated from Wake Forest, I got to meet him too. I actually still got a basketball that was autographed by him. So that was prior to him being drafted and going to the Spurs. When he left out of college, he left with Randolph Childress. Randolph Childress was supposed to be the god of basketball at that point in time, like pretty much #1 ranked recruit going into the NBA, which we all know how that pretty much happened. Tim Duncan was supposed to be in that one that was like, he's tall, he ain't got the form down, he might not make it, and you see how that happened. Tim Duncan's got all them championships. Childress played for about 2 years.
Well, I'll take that a step further. So Childress is older. So Duncan was a young guy. So he crossed over with Childress for like 2 years. And everybody remembers that amazing ACC tournament when Childress shook Jeff McInnes, told him to get up and then banged the 3 in his mouth. But anyway, so the king of the court at that time when we all first got there was Rodney Rogers. Tim was a swimmer in St. Croix when he got found. He wasn't even a basketball player. They said, who's this big, long, tall swimmer? But he's a raw talent. So they brought him in as a project. And he became the Naismith Player of the Year. So then the rest goes on. I don't need to give you the Tim Duncan history. But yeah, Tim was younger than those guys, and we saw what happened.
I had no idea that's his background.
He was a swimmer. He wasn't even a basketball player. Somebody told him, you might want to go check this guy out. He's a project, but he's a swimmer.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Here's some of Wake's rivals. They got to go up against each other. And this is actually a rivalry game in itself. NC State versus North Carolina. I think the Tar Heels bounce back this weekend and beat State. But yeah, that's why I'm going Tar Heels.
Tar Heels.
God, y'all gonna make me do it, ain't you? Just gotta make me do it. Look, I can't even say anything. I'm gonna go. How can you say it? How did you pick that team to win? Because I like their colors. Their colors are nice. So I'm gonna go Wolfpack.
Listen, this is not NCAA basketball brackets.
No.
that I've never got out of the second round without throwing my bracket in the trash.
Hey, look, if I'm gonna be for real, yeah, I say UNC wins the game. I do like North Carolina State though. I've always been a kind of an underdog for them, but I say UNC wins that one. Number 14 versus 23. I mean, ACC honestly has more people ranked in the top 25 than the Big Ten and the SEC. So,
Okay.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's
right
gonna
now,
be ugly.
right now.
And back to the SEC, Auburn and that mess versus Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin.
I think Lane pulls it out, and we see Lane doing this on the sideline when he calls a play. I think Ole Miss bounces back and gets this one because the offense didn't look as good against Arkansas as it did against Bama, and because Arkansas put some pressure on them. But I think they bounce back, get it right, and they upset Auburn. Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm going Ole Miss as well. I think Lane Kiffin is I think he's gonna do big things at Ole Miss.
I do too.
I think Auburn's just a mess right now. They've lost their confidence. They've been shook the last 2 weeks. I just don't see them. Yeah, I don't see that defense standing up to a Kiffin offense that put 653 yards on a Bama defense. Yeah, I think it's gonna. I think it's actually going to be a big win for Ole Miss. I think they're going to beat them by probably 14, 17 points.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go Ole Miss with y'all on this one. Auburn, I don't see them stepping back up until they have to play another ranked team whatsoever. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to put up 70, PJ, but I'm going to say they're going to throw about 45 on them, though, at the least bit.
I can see that. I can really see 45, 50 points if Ole Miss gets rolling like they did against Alabama, because Ole Miss always shows up to play Alabama and Auburn every year. It doesn't matter how bad they are that year. They just, for whatever reason, man, that's the games they show up, and either they upset them or they come close to upsetting either one of those teams.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Auburn still got a couple more games to go before they actually decide they want to show up and mess up some rankings. So, last one for you. Here you go, Major. Number 19, VT versus Wake Forest.
See. I think it's going to be a tough one for us, but I think the slow start, we gonna get over the hump here. I think it's going to be close. But Tech might just pull it out. But I think it's going to be close. I think we're going to make it tight.
So who you picking?
I'm going to get an edge to Tech, but I think we're going to make it close.
You know what? I'm going to take Wake Forest.
Okay.
Specifically just because I just don't like Virginia Tech. But Wake Forest is not necessarily bad over the past couple of years. They've had some tight games where they could have won. Receivers dropped a couple here and there. I mean, but I'm going to go Wake Forest because Virginia Tech likes to self-implode at any given time.
Oh, best believe I'm going to be jumping up and down screaming for my boys. I hope they pull it out. So, but if someone just wanted to beat me to be unbiased for this, I would give Tech. I'll give it to Tech by 2, but
blasphemy.
just trying to be unbiased and not.
I agree with Major. I think Virginia Tech. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Tech does win, but I'm with you, Griff. I hate Virginia Tech. I hate Frank Beamer. I hate Beamer ball. I mean, I'm glad he's gone, but I got to give it to Tech though.
True. All right. So last one for you, Major, and we'll start wrapping up. Who is your top Heisman candidate
for this year?
This year.
Well, at this point in the game, man, I mean, it's hands down the Clemson quarterback.
Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, granted, I'm not saying he's ran into his toughest competition yet, but when you play lower competition, he's doing exactly what you should do. Think about Bama with Tua, right? Tua didn't play the second half of any game for like the first 8 games of the year. Like, it was so bad, the lead was so big. Tua was on the bench the whole second half. So Mac Jones got all the playing time. He got all the experience he needed. So what's his name anyway? I'm blanking on his name.
Trevor Lawrence.
Lawrence, yeah. I mean, when you play a lower ranked team, you're supposed to go out and put 70 on them in 10 minutes. And that's what he does. And so he doesn't fool around with nobody. So right now, he's the clear-cut Heisman Trophy winner.
And here's what's scary. I was reading today that if the Jets were to get the first round draft pick, Trevor Lawrence says he's not leaving Clemson. He's going to stay at Clemson another year so he doesn't have to play for the Jets.
I don't blame him.
That's another year I got to watch him destroy FSU, and I'm just not here for it. So we
Yeah.
get
Hey, look, I can't blame him. Like, would you really want to go to the Jets? I mean, the Jets literally have had one of the most horrible drafting classes as far as the QB goes. Aside from Cleveland and aside from Cincinnati, the Jets are the next ones on that list. I mean, I wouldn't want to go either. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that'd
Hey,
be like,
they about to pull an Eli Manning. Oh, you the Chargers? You gonna draft me? I quit.
I'm just saying. I mean,
didn't John Elway do that as well?
yeah.
But Eli, his daddy said, we'll quit. It's like, God dang. He said, we won't play football this year. Sure enough, they drafted him, but then traded him immediately. I think they just did that to make a point. Like, look, we can do what we want. You can't run the draft, but it was funny.
Yeah.
We'll quit.
Yeah. That's one of those ones that's going to be horrible. That would be.
I think John Elway and his dad did I can't remember what team it was that was going to draft Elway, but he was like, well, I'll just go play baseball. And and John Elway went and played a year in the majors.
That's funny. I mean, honestly, you think about it, it's like, what kid wants to come out and ruin their career for 4 years before they can go to another team?
That's like Barry Sanders. He retired specifically because Detroit didn't want to trade him.
Oh, Coach
that's
Ross, I'm so mad at him that all they had to do was trade that man. That man quit 5 years before his time because he simply said, I will not play another down for them.
I hate Detroit for that reason. They robbed us of one of the greatest running backs of all time.
It ain't one of the greatest. He would have been the greatest.
He would have smashed Emmitt Smith's records.
Yep.
Emmitt still had to run for an extra 2 years just to break his rushing records. And that was after he left Dallas.
Barry was still in his prime when he quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. My gosh, it was a beautiful thing to watch him. And I tell you who else was beautiful to watch was Mike Allstott. That dude.
Yeah. For the Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Monster fullback.
He used to kill people. But you know what? That boy could catch the ball out of the backfield like none other. I ain't never seen a fullback catch like him.
Fullback played he played half a season with a broken hand and you still couldn't make him fumble.
But you know what? He reminded me a little. Who was the fullback for Steve Young's San Francisco teams?
William Floyd.
Huh?
William Floyd?
No. The other one. Mike Raft. What the heck was his name?
I know the year that they won the Super Bowl.
I think his name
William
was
Floyd
Mike
was the
Raft.
fullback.
The diesel in front of Warwick.
I mean, this dude was rough.
Well, that was the diesel in front of Warwick was Mike Allstott. Tampa used to run that 1-2 punch with Warwick and Allstott.
True. All right. But I got you, Major. Here goes one for you. Chris Sherman said, did you run track at Wake?
Who asked me that?
Chris Sherman. He's the K-State fan that ain't here right now.
Oh, yeah, I did. So I ran indoor and outdoor. So indoor, I was on our distance medley relay team, which won the ACC championships. So there's a 100 leg, a 400 leg, an 800 leg, 3-lap leg, and then a mile runner. So Wake was known for distance and middle distance runners. And so their sprinters, they got off the football team. So we ran a couple 4x1 relays. And then indoor, I ran the 400 mostly. And so I did double duties in the spring. So I would go to track practice and then go to football practice. So, and intramural basketball game.
Got the last one for you. You got you a fan in PJ. All right. For this one, he's saying that you got a coaching career and he's rooting for Major for Auburn head coach.
Hey, look. Tell them to call me up. I got some plays. I already got my offensive coordinator ready to go. I got everybody. Let's go.
Hey, I'll go with you. Just give me the defense. I'll be all right.
Hey, hey, head coach is all about delegating. I like, hey, you know that, you got that, you got that, you got that. I'm delegating.
That's true. That's why Dabo Swinney's so successful.
Yeah,
He delegates everything,
yeah.
and he lets his coordinators do their job, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
CEO. Saban, he's just the CEO of Bama.
Yep.
What I mean, that's the way these
Because
kids.
Saban don't know nothing about them offenses. But if you call a stupid call, he will be in your ish. Player and coach.
Very true. Very true.
Oh no.
All right. Anybody else got any last minute comments or any questions? I'm not seeing anything else up yet, but yeah, they desperate for some head coaching positions for you. So you might have an extra job and everything on the side, depending.
Shoot, the way these coaches getting paid nowadays, we'll do it for cheap.
Hey, look, I don't even need Saban's 8, 10, 12 million a year, man. Look, just pay me $500K. I'm there.
I'm with you. Wait, do I get the bonus stuff?
You get a bonus on me.
All right, bet. Anything else you want to leave them with, Major?
Man, this is fun. This was fun. This is the first time I've done something like this. I want to say thank you, Sam. Thank you, little bro, for the invite. This is awesome. This was fun.
Hey,
It
we
was great
appreciate
having
it.
you, and I'm going to look forward to if I ever get my daggone running backs back in fantasy to taking y'all's money in fantasy football. If McCaffrey ever get over his injury,
I'm gonna start calling these dudes. I'm gonna look their phone numbers up and call them before they play on Sunday. Like, listen, man, I'm playing you today in fantasy football. I need you to do something. Can you do something?
I'm gonna hit you with this one, Sam. I'm gonna hit you with the Eddie Murphy. Take all my money. Say.
Hang on, Sam. You're not Thanos, are you?
Yes, he is.
yeah,
Oh, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I got to think, who's the biggest shit talker in our league? It's Thanos. Sam.
always, man. I gotta keep it split between me and Derek. We keep it going.
Yeah, I sit back and laugh. I was like, these dudes is hilarious.
Definitely, but I know you gotta run, bro. But I definitely appreciate you coming on and everything. Hopefully later on we can get you back on here or something, at least maybe for like one of the NFL ones, let you talk about your Broncos.
Oh,
And
that'll be a short story.
Are you a Broncos fan, Major?
I am, man, and they stink. I'm like,
Hey,
bring Peyton Manning back. I don't care if he got to go out there in a wheelchair, please.
I'm moving.
Something better than what we got.
I'm moving back to Denver in a couple of months, so
Are you serious?
I tell them to get the crap together for you.
They
Thank
had
you.
Joe
I
Flacco.
appreciate that. It's beautiful out there, man.
It is. It's a beautiful city. It really
Yeah, it is. So,
Oh man. Oh man. It's all right. We'll definitely try to get you back on here and everything. I mean,
hang on, Sam. What'd you do to your arm, man?
Oh, I was at work and slipped, fell, and broke my wrist.
You sure you ain't slamming on the table after losing fantasy?
either that or watching FSU losing to Jacksonville State.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I got mad at Florida State and y'all beat me in fantasy, and I just started throwing stuff.
Hey PJ, you can have the Spider-Man pick, man. We'll make sure you get it.
Hey, you didn't get my Spider-Man pick, man. No, that's mine.
That's cool.
Well, I mean, I guess that wraps it up, at least for the NCAA podcast. I mean, it's going to be some interesting games this week. Definitely thanks to the bro for coming out, and hopping on the podcast, filling us in with some FSU, some Wake Forest history, giving his input on some of these games. I mean, pretty much we all agree that most of the rankings are a little bit messed up, but a team still got to be a team to come out and play regardless of what's happening, whether it's coaching or players. So, I mean, definitely appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate all the comments and everything. And yeah, he slipped and fell. He did, Jared. He slipped and fell. But
I did. It was nasty. I was running around. My arm was all flopping all over the place.
Oh no. Well, man, you be careful and take care of yourself, man, Sam.
Well, the wife puts me in bubble wrap now before I leave. So.
Oh, nice. I'll be sure that I not to talk no junk to you on fantasy until your arm heals.
No, I can take it. I can take it. When McCaffrey and them get back, I'm telling you, I'm gonna take y'all's money and
I
finally,
know, and we ain't gonna
I'm
be able
gonna
to
hear
stop
about
him,
it all year.
man.
I'm gonna hear about it all year.
I traded Juju for him.
No, no, not the way
I
you
give you Deshaun Jackson for him.
no. Deshaun Jackson, 80 years old, still playing.
I just picked him up because I needed something. I was like, I'm about to start having some bye weeks come up. Everybody hurt. I said, I need somebody.
Deshaun Jackson's gonna be out there next year with a walker. That man
He
ain't
slipped and fell like you.
That dude get hurt every other play.
Oh man. All right, but yeah, we'll wrap it up. Definitely leave some comments. Share, leave us a couple reviews. Let us know what y'all want to hear. If there's anything that y'all want us to change up. I know we saw one person saying that he wants to get on here with you, Sam. So I mean, probably give him a shout out and see what's gonna happen.
Hey Griff, that's a little Marine right there talking.
Hey,
You need to set him straight.
oh, that's cool.
I don't know what rank he is, but you need to set him straight.
I'll find him then. Hey, we ain't too big. I'll find him.
Oh no.
But yeah, definitely appreciate everybody tuning in though. This is definitely one of the better podcasts we did have. I mean, I appreciate lighting it up, Major, and everything. And hey, Sam, FSU, they'll get there.
Oh
We
yeah,
got it.
We'll be back one day.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely. And everybody, we'll see y'all Thursday for y'all's little NFL side of it, and then we'll tune back in next week, Wednesdays and Thursdays, when we kick it off at 9 p.m. So definitely stay tuned and share away, comment, and review, man.
Thank y'all.
All right. Thank y'all, man, for having me, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. You have a good night.
That was a good show.
You're gonna be mad at me.